You want them to like do a video documentary of all of the work that they've done, and now they just want you to like vote on this one little thing. No, like the whole idea is it's the start of the conversation. It's the click and read this thing so that you can actually learn about it. Testing.
And testing. There's a new message on here, actually. It just said video quality. What did it just say? Damn, it went away. Actual recording as higher quality. I guess, I mean, we've already known that.
But I was going to mention that to you, which is interesting here, because your video looks better than it normally does. Or my video, the other way. I normally see myself and I'm clear, and you look very blurry, like I'm super drunk or something like that. Right now, you look clear.
Well, excellent.
But yeah, I feel like we haven't done this in a long
blurry,
time.
And I look super clear.
Oh, maybe
Dude,
your thing sucks.
It's crazy, huh?
Yeah, it's been what?
My thing sucks. Oh, yeah.
2 weeks? 3 weeks?
Man, it's been, at least 2 weeks.
I think it's been 3 weeks.
So.
Since we recorded.
Crazy, huh? I mean,
nuts.
So that sucks, but I'm gonna give us some grace. Because we literally did it every week for 37 episodes, 36-ish. And for a minute there, we were doing 2 a week. So, summertime, you traveled, then I traveled. But it was funny.
Everybody needs a vacation.
Well, I don't know if you remember, I was like, let me figure out what that Camo app is or whatever so we can download while I'm out. And you're like, yeah, you may not want to worry about it. I was like, no, I want to do it while we're out. And yeah, man, I think if we were like out on business or something, that could be easy to break away. But like, man, being with the family, it's like you're not going to go chill out for an hour when you're on vacation.
No. And I knew it was going to be impossible, too. I just wanted you to enjoy your vacation, because it's not like we get a lot of them. So it's like, you don't need to be working, when you finally get a chance to hang out and do some stuff. But I haven't heard about your trip. Even though we've talked since you've been back, I literally haven't heard anything about your trip.
I know. Well, dude, it was really good. I think, did I tell you that the primary reason for planning this trip was because of my son? Did I tell you that?
No. I know he's obsessed with Titanic and like boats and stuff, but I didn't know anything about like what is this deal with New York?
No, I don't know what it is. He must have seen it on some movie or something, because he's been very vocal about his desire to go to New York he's 7.5 now. It's been at least like 2 years. And so I was like, I started thinking to myself, I was like, man, he really wants to go. Like, New York's, we've been there enough. We know how to get around. I could see like if I had never been, I remember like when I was younger, it seeming like it was really overwhelming, just because there's, all the trains and so many people and whatever. But it's not really like a big deal once you just, you have it kind of figured out. So I was like, I think this is doable, and he's old enough now. Still pretty young, but like, I was like, let's just do it. Like, I don't know. Nicole and I like to go to beaches and shit. I think a lot like you. I'm okay with like a little trip to New York. Nicole, she didn't really like want to spend her vacation time in New York, but it ended up being a really good trip.
That's interesting. I would think that she would love it with like Broadway and like all the dance things and like all the stuff to do. Like I thought she would be into that. That's interesting.
I know. That is a common misconception, because when we first met, I thought the same thing. And you remember, you've moved around a handful of times. I've stayed here, but whenever I first met her, I was like, oh man, it was around the time I still wanted to like move to New York. And I remember telling her at one point when we were on a date, I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to move to New York here, the next year, and I expected her to be like, "Oh yeah, cool. I like the sounds of that," or whatever. And she was like, "Ugh." She was like, "I hate New York." And I was like, "What?" And at this point, I already like really liked her, and I was like, "Hang on, I'm just fucking up my plan a little bit." But
so I want to side rail because I want to still hear about your trip, but I want to know when you were younger, why did you want to move to New York? Like, what's your story? Because I have mine. I'm curious what it was for you.
Mine was honestly, I don't like. Okay, there's a couple of. I think it was a bunch of little things put together. One, I think it was mostly. I think all these things I'll tell you mostly was about mystery. Like it was just a mysterious might not be the right word, but it was like this intriguing sort of fantasy place that I got to see in some movies. Like I loved like East Coast hip hop. That didn't always shine the nicest light on it, so I don't know that because I didn't want to go live in the slums of New York or anything. But I also knew that like I think this is the biggest thing. You know, you and I have art backgrounds. I mean, we were artists, and I I think that was the biggest thing for me was knowing that these, prolific artists at one point, of course there's always been a major art scene in New York. But these historical prolific artists that were, in New York and then also there was a school at the time that I thought was cool called SVA, the School of Visual Arts. I think that's it. And I got one of their big catalogs. I don't know if you ever used to get those, but it was like thick. And it was just designed so awesome. Like everything about it made you want to like, you're like, this is what I want to be. And so I think it was all those things. And so even though I didn't get into that school, I got a full scholarship in Dallas. So I was like, well, that's clearly what I'm going to do. And I had no idea how much school cost at that time. And when I found out, I was like, whoa, shit. So like I didn't end up going to that school, but I still like, it was one of those things that made me want to be in New York. And I think all of that's kind of it.
Got you. Mine is, my life is built around TV, right? Like everything that's in my life is all TV based, right? So as a young kid, it was like you said, it was like all the breakdancing movies and all the graffiti on the trains and all that kind of stuff, like from the 80s movies,
Yeah.
It was like, okay, New York's badass. They're down for all this cool stuff that I'm into, right? And then as I got older, the movie Great Expectations. Like the movie Great Expectations made me go, I am moving to New York and I am going to be an artist and I'm going to get my shot because everybody gets their shot. Like, like it was just like, it just ingrained into my head. Because that came out like when I was in middle school or high school or whatever. And so it was just like, all right, after school.
You mean the remake of it?
Yeah. Ethan Hawke, Gwyneth Paltrow version, not the original.
Yeah.
I like color. But anyway,
those was movies, the original in black and white? I don't remember.
No, I don't know. I was making shit up. But no, like even like as I was an adult, like whenever I'd like want to paint and like just I would, like get inspired to paint, I would just watch Great Expectations, and just watching it makes me want to paint because there's a scene in there where like if you haven't seen the movie, basically he was an artist as a kid and he helps this dangerous criminal. I know for the audience, right? And like that criminal wants to pay him back. And so when he gets older, and the criminal just remembers these little drawings and crayons and stuff that he had when he was a kid. So when he gets older, he sends a guy out to like be his sponsor and send him to New York to become a famous artist. And like there's a scene once he gets to New York where he's sitting in the park and he's like, it's like talking, and he was just like, I forget the exact words, and normally I know the quotes of it, but basically he was just like, my skill was still there. He was like, even though I tried to hide it away, it was all still there, and it just comes out, and it just like started. And once he started, it just started rolling again. And so it was like that scene in particular, like when I would see it, would just be like, I need to go paint. I know it's still in me. I still can do it. I need to go do something. I need to go paint a portrait or something. So,
nice.
Yeah. But I've lived in New York
That's
a couple
one thing
of times.
that, right? Twice?
Twice, yeah.
Once, 2 different times? Okay.
Once very young and once older with my wife. Both for very short stints of time because it gets too cold and it's fucking stupid cold, and there's no fucking way I'd ever live there because it's stupid cold.
Yeah. And like the cold isn't like a lot of there's like not the fun parts of cold when you have like more open land around you. Like in New York, like when it gets cold and it snows or whatever, it's like it just is like sludge in the street.
Dirty mud slush.
Nasty.
And you get that wind from like wrapping around the buildings like straight in your face. Like hell no. I don't want any of that. Yeah. It's just like we stayed till fall both times, and I was like, it's too cold in fall. There's no way we'd make winter, you know. But fall is beautiful.
Yeah.
Summer's too hot. There's no ACs anywhere, so you know.
Yeah.
Has that changed?
Nothing.
I haven't been in a while.
Well, I mean, I remember the first time I went there, I was probably 19, and I stayed at somebody's house that didn't have an AC. But I was already living in Texas, and Texas was like the hottest heat I'd ever been in when I moved here. Like it
broke you in.
Like, dude, I remember just going like, oh, this is different. Like I'd been out on hot days, in Oklahoma, which is so close. But man, getting down here, I remember when my friends came to visit and like we went out. I mean, it was like summer, and like we went out just to, like we didn't know what we were doing, and we're like, let's go see Dallas. And as you know, especially back then, there was like nothing to just go see in Dallas. Like it's not like not unless it was like in the evening or Deep Ellum and all that. We like didn't open up until later, so we're just like walking around, and everyone's just like, oh God, let's just go back to your house and sleep. And like literally we just drove back to my apartment and we just crashed out and like watched TV. And I was like, I hope you guys are having a great trip. It's too fucking hot. But anyway, all that to say, when I went to New York the first time, I was staying in somebody's house that didn't have an AC, and they were like, oh my God, it's so hot. And it was like 78. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it's warm, but like, it's not that big a deal. But while we were there this few weeks ago, it was actually like there was like they were breaking like heat records, and it was only like 100, 101
only.
But well, yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it got up to 100 while we were there. Like it was hot, but it wasn't like it wasn't insane. I just tried to stay
but
out
it's
of
like
it.
it's like fro hot though, because it's like you're on the ocean, like right there, like it's like, and then there's a river around it, like so it's like it's humid as fuck, so it's like dirty, wet heat, with like car exhaust and everything just all mixed into it. It's just like this amazing melting pot of sticky.
Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
I know. Yeah. Well, so one thing we did do, which I'm betting you haven't done. Have you gone to see the Statue of Liberty, like on the island?
Mm-hmm. I have.
You have? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like
it's actually one of the only things I've actually. This is literally one of the only things that I've actually done as far as like touristy stuff that in New York that people go do.
Yeah.
The only thing. I've never been to the Empire State Building, never like done any of the stuff that people do. I have eaten Ray's Pizza, all 27 of them probably, but literally Statue of Liberty is the only one that I've actually done.
Okay. Well, the majority of people that I know that like either lived there or spent a lot of time there, like none of them have. It's like that typical thing. It's kind of like you just take it. What's the right word?
Take it for granted.
Take it for granted. Thank you. Yeah, because it's like so close to you. And I'm, anyway, Essex wanted to go. He wanted to. We literally. I mean, I've gone and we did the Empire State Building, the Chrysler Building, One World Tower, Statue of Liberty, like. He didn't really give a shit about Broadway, but I took him a little too early. I think if I would have taken him like when it was a little darker and all the lights came on, maybe he'd be interested. But he had his own agenda. It was pretty interesting. But we stayed in a boutique hotel, and we spent a good amount of money on it. And I think what I've learned is that boutique hotels in New York are miss really bad, really far. Like miss or miss. I don't know. I know there's some cool ones, and I guess the term boutique is kind of there's not necessarily like I mean, I guess if somebody calls themselves a boutique hotel, but I've been to like the Ace, and it's like, I thought that would be like considered a boutique hotel, but it's like got this like level of polish that is more like a boutique hotel that's owned by like, the Hilton or something like that, right? We went to this kind of boutique hotel, and we got there pretty late. We got into New York pretty late. We got an Uber from the airport to the hotel. And when we walk in, we were like, oh, this doesn't, the images never match what they advertise.
The vibe.
So
is
the
off.
lobby of it was like, yeah, well, the lobby was just like booty. We were like, okay, damn. And Nicole was like, shit, we just spent so much money on this. Like, fuck. And so then they give us our room card, and we go to our room, and it's like 2 doubles, and there's like a little window over here, and it faces like the side of a building, and like the air duct coming out. And she was like, wait a minute, something's off here. And so we brought back up on the computer, we jumped on and saw what we had booked, like the name of it and all that. And she was like, nope, this is the wrong one. Our first worry was that like, we just got like the worst version of the room that we got. But she was like, wait a minute, no, this doesn't match at all. So we went back down, and they ended up giving us a pretty cool room. But it was, it was still like the pictures, like compared to what it actually was, were like the most amazing pictures. Now the good thing, it was kind of cool because it had like this wraparound window. And so when you had it open, we literally got to see, we were above, in our second room, we were above most of the city. So you could kind of just look out. It was pretty cool. And then Essex, of course, was like, fascinated. One cool thing, though, I don't know what was cool about this, but like, so there's like graffiti like everywhere, right? I mean, like, there's not a place you can look without seeing. I mean, there's no clean, surfaces that don't have graffiti, basically. Well, there was this one. Now I'm going to forget what it was called. It was like 3 letters, like Jet or something like that. And it was pretty cool. And I saw it was kind of cool because I could see like around the city. I was like, oh, he's been over there, and over there. And, and it was consistent. It was the same, it wasn't a tag, but it was like the same art or the same writing or whatever. And so one day I look and I see one of the pieces of, one of his, I see the tag or whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't remember anymore. But I was like, huh. I'm looking next to it. There's usually it's like graffiti on top of graffiti, next to graffiti over it. And I see this thing and I'm like, I kind of don't remember that. And it was like pretty close. It was like a building just a couple of streets over with a clear view. And I was like, And it got me curious enough that I went back because I remember I did like the first day I did like the panoramic photo or whatever. And so I was like, I'm going to see if that was there. And I went back and it wasn't there. So this is this whole piece that somebody had gone and done like, while we were sleeping. I could have like watched them. Something about that was kind of cool just to see it like pop up one day. Be like,
should have done like now you're like just set up a time lapse, just like set up your camera on the window and just like, it would probably be kind of peeping Tom-ish too, but like it would be cool if you actually saw somebody hop up on the roof and actually did it. And that would be dope. Just for you.
Yeah.
But that's cool.
Yeah. Next time.
Did you eat some pizza?
So anyway, that trip was good. You know what? We actually didn't eat pizza this time.
What is wrong with you? That's the only reason I would go back.
I'm trying to think. I mean, we ate some good shit. We did go to a Korean barbecue place. It's pretty pricey, but it was good. Like nobody does. I don't think anybody. Yeah. I can't make all the distinctions. This may have been more like Koreatown. Trying to think of like the area. Anyway, no, this was like, I think this was like more of like a Koreatown because I know where Chinatown is and this is not quite where we were, but, it was good, but I think what's funny is like, Korean barbecue in Texas, like crushes, like it's the fucking best. Like, it's like you pay your like, $25 for all you can eat. And they just continue to bring you out these cuts of meat. It was a little different there. You basically like pay, and then they bring it out. And also the thing was like the dude was like stood there and like cooked it. And you've done it we've done it before here.
Yeah.
Like they just give you the shit and you're like,
yeah,
you cook it however you want. So he would come over and cook it and then turn it off. And I was like, I like the crispy. I like some of this shit to get, crispy. So he was like, oh, okay.
You like them carcinogens. And
eventually he like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Look at you, bro. Fucking science.
Yeah, I'm so smart.
Anyway, it was a good trip, man. We did a handful of things. And Cole's company actually was there while we were there. And so we actually went over to Brooklyn and saw them. Yeah. And what was funny about that is that we were like, yeah, great. It's cool. Good timing. We're going to go see them. And she helped a little bit. What was really cool is so many people, like legacy members of her company and all that showed up, that it was like this massive like reunion. And even after it shut down, people were just like standing there in a dark park, like shooting the shit until 11. Like Essex is like, oh my God, I'm so bored. But it was really cool.
What was that? You sent me a video of like you at like a party. What was that party?
Oh, dude, that was in the second to third week. That was when we were in Detroit. So we went from New York.
Oh, okay.
We took the train, which I highly recommend, from New York to DC. Super, super cool. Which was the first time I've ever done it. So we went to the Amtrak train station in New York, which was, it was pretty cool. It's like you're at an airport, except less of a pain in the ass. Because you can like walk in and out and whatever. They still had like like the food court with like some of the nice restaurants and just like whatever, Starbucks or whatever.
It's like the famous one, right? Like from all the movies and stuff, right? Where you go in, it's got the big dome.
Yeah,
that's that one, right? Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, I just can't remember what the fuck it's called at the moment. But
yeah, I don't remember what it's called, but I can picture it in my head. But yeah.
Let's see, Amtrak.
How to get on Amtrak train, New York.
Oh, it's like it's just like Penn Station, right? Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
Excuse me. So anyway, what was cool about that, so the train's got Wi-Fi and you're sitting at a table facing each other. I guess depending on what seats you get, because sometimes it's like they'll have a handful of seats facing one way, and then they'll have a group of seats that share a table facing each other. And so we were like watching a movie and then watching the things go by. So you're going through different cities and all that. And it's just, it was pretty cool. It was a good experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So then we did DC, the Museum of African American History, is fucking incredible. It's like, of course it's like, there's a lot of sad shit in there, but there's also like, we grew up and there's a lot of shit talk about, what we did and didn't learn in school, but I think, just as mature, as we turned into adults, we've gotten to see the movies that highlight things that we kind of would dig more into, and we've gotten to know these like things that have happened, and we have an idea of like, what that history was. But going here, it was like, I guess the reason I'm saying that is like going here, there was some like things that I learned just about like slavery that were like eye-opening. Like there was a point in which slavery wasn't even necessarily like focused on race. It was just a thing. And also slavery was considered short-term to like, I don't know, I'm kind of maybe fucking some shit up, but it was like for things like to pay off a debt or whatever. But then, there was a period of time before it turned into, what we know of as like slavery. So anyway, really interesting, some sad shit, obviously. And, but then as you like, the floors go up, like it's like history, starting way back in like I think it was like the late 1500s. And then as you go through it, it's becoming more modern history. And so then you get to see like, just a lot of amazing things that happened, like especially like in sports. There's one area which I think you would love where it's like, Jackie Robinson and kind of those types of things. That's kind of one that a lot of people know about. There's a lot more that you're like, oh yeah, okay, I kind of know that name, but like, wow, okay. Where people were, doing these amazing things with, with everything against them, basically. And it's just like a really, it went from being kind of really shitty, even though really there's some interesting history to learn, to like really inspiring. And so that was really cool. And then,
do you know
did
the
a bunch of just
breakdown?
typical DC shit.
Do you know the breakdown of Jackie Robinson? Like why he was the first?
I mean, I know that story really well.
Like, just that he was the first, or why?
Because now that you're quizzing me,
I say that because what's really, really interesting about Jackie Robinson is he was nowhere near the best African American player. Like, he was nowhere even
okay, this
close.
may be something I don't know about. I feel like you're gonna.
The reason that they chose Jackie Robinson, the owner of the Dodgers at the time, is because he had a military background. He had already proven that he could take like all of the scrutiny and all of like the people just screaming in his face and dealing with it, and still be able to do what he could do. Where there was literally people like during that time. What is his name? Like, I used to know all this so well, and I'm like out of my baseball thing. But there was literally like a player at the exact same time.
Dude, we need to do a special episode where you
there was a player at the exact same time that had like more home runs than Babe Ruth. And they were like, obviously he should be. Like, this is during like the Satchel Paige days, when like Satchel Paige wasn't in, like, he was like the heads of all of these Negro leagues that would do traveling leagues. And like they hated Jackie Robinson because they were just like, you're the white black guy, that went into the military and served, you know what I mean? And so it was like, and they were all so much better. Like, they were like, I mean, these are like the best players in the world. And there's like traveling leagues that could just like on command hit a home run, on command throw a ball 100 miles an hour, like crazy stuff. But it was literally like the grit of Jackie Robinson as to like why they chose him. Because you could imagine somebody else would be like, well, I'm just going to fight now, or I can't, I'm not going to be able to deal with that. And the fact that they knew he could, which is a whole other special skill. I knew that. That's a whole other special skill.
Totally.
It's like, it would be a totally different story if it was they did pick the best player, and like it ended up being this like rage thing, and they all hated each other, and like somebody got killed. Like, it'd be like a whole different movie.
Oh man.
Than if they picked, So I don't know. It's just always been super interesting to me. Like I love digging into all of that kind of stuff, because it's like, then I'm like, who was the best player? Who was like, like, because it's like you as a kid growing up playing baseball, you're just like, I want to be like that. And you're like, wait, he wasn't the best?
Yeah.
Why did you tell me he was the best? They're like, no, this guy over here had twice as many home runs. You just never heard about him. And I'm like, well, fucking tell me about him.
This is like a freaking get high rabbit hole conversation, but like, isn't it weird? Like the things that kind of, it's almost like there's a narrative that needs to happen to push society forward. And so it's like, we'll put these people to represent a thing or a person or whatever. And like you said, like he wasn't the best. Now, the one thing that I don't think anybody, like you just mentioned, like the fact that he was able to, he had that grit and he was able to take people screaming at him and all that is definitely like this pretty important part of like playing this role. But it's kind of, it's an interesting thought to consider, like, we need to have this person in this position. It's almost like planned in order to like move society forward or something. I don't know. No, I'm kind of 100%. Like, that's what I'm talking about. It's like, it's like a high conversation.
No, that's why this thing is so interesting. It's not even, it's not the baseball, it's the tactic. Like, that owner of the Dodgers literally is thinking through how to change the game. How, not just like, how do I sell some tickets and bring in like a bear to do some crazy tricks and stuff in the middle of the game. He's going, how do I make this game better? How do I make this world better?
Yeah.
And like, that's fucking big time shit that like you're sitting there trying to figure that type of thing out. And then not to mention, then you like figure out who that person is that could actually do it. And you interview people and you talk to people, you watch games, you scout out things, and you figure out this is the person that can deal with it. This is maybe a person that person could have as an ally that'll help them through this. And like, you literally put the plan in motion and it happens. It's not going to happen the way you planned it, but it happened. Like, that's fucking major.
Yeah.
You know, that's like going like
Well,
I'm
okay.
not gonna. It's like Elon Musk type thing. It's like well, I'm not gonna start a tech startup where we do payments. I'm gonna get somebody to live on on Mars.
Yeah.
You know, like it's
On
like
the
that.
Mars.
And then literally going, oh, also I already planned it out, and here's the rocket design, and here's the thing, and here's how we're gonna do it, and in 6 months we're gonna launch this rocket. You know, like that's that type shit.
So what's interesting about the owner of the baseball team story that you mentioned there is I wonder at the time if people, I don't think people did know. What made me, the idea that popped in my head was just the idea of like, one, could that type of thing be happening now? And it's just not visible to us because we have everybody's got opinions. So consider like back when that owner of that baseball team was doing that and he had sort of this like vision of a better future. And I'm saying this based on what you've mentioned so far. That's definitely not something I was, familiar with. But everybody at the time, there was probably, especially with all the racism and shit, people were like, fuck you. Or like the other baseball players that were better are like, fuck you, I'm better. There's just like this whole like at the time, people could not have known that this was this like being put together with the hopes of it being something much bigger, which now we know, like, that means it's a story for us. It's an inspirational story. We know that it did change things. It was at least a monumental time in history that led to better things, But at the time, I'm sure nobody realized that was like even remotely possible. So it makes me wonder if I wonder what kind of things are happening now. Now the Elon scenario is, maybe there's something different, but things are so public now, I guess, too, that it's like
my point of
is like that's
my
happening
point
right
of
now.
that and of that like kind of comparison is like even like it's like a big company vision, right? Like Lyft saying, I don't want to just give you a ride from A to B. I want to like change the world and like how the pollution levels and like how like we actually use transportation, right? That's like a world changing vision, right? Not like I just want to make some money and do this thing real quick. And so it's like, I think it's actually, it happens, the vision happens a lot, but the follow through and like the quickness of it happening, I don't think happens like the way that happened. And I don't know how long it took. Like, I'm not some historian that actually knows, like, I mean, he could have been planning this for years, but I don't think it was, because I don't think he knew who Jackie Robinson was for years. I think he was just like, I think he just, I mean, it was part greed and part like, I'm not some crazy person that doesn't see the world changing, how could you fight in a war with him and not play baseball with him? Like, it's like, it's just like an open-minded person.
Right.
And I think that he was just, few among many that saw and had that point of view, but he made it happen. Like that's huge, I gotta find that. There was a movie I watched as a kid that I remember watching. It was like the story, like what I'm telling you. That was like, it was about the traveling team with like Satchel Paige and all of them on it. And they would just travel from town to town. And another little historical thing that I even remember from that movie was that for some reason it was okay in the major leagues. There were some hints of like Puerto Rican and Dominican players before there was a black player. And so there were actually black players that would pretend to be Dominican. They would like shave their head. They'd be like more light-skinned black guys, and they could totally pull off like being like Puerto Rican or something like that, because that's when everyone, like a white guy is like, oh, Puerto Rican is like the light-skinned brown guy, that even though there's black people in Puerto Rico. And so it was
they're just like faking accents.
They're just faking an accent, literally trying to like.
And the white dudes are like, I don't know what Puerto Rican people sound like. So I guess
exactly must be. Like seriously, like that was a thing. But it's just interesting to be like, you were okay with that shade of brown, not this shade of brown. You know what I mean? It's just like, how are there levels in like the craziness? Like I don't know. It's just nuts to me.
Yeah.
So.
Dude, that's weird. I mean, it's definitely a thing we could probably talk about for a lot.
That we like don't have any real like education on or anything, and will sound stupid. But
no, I mean, but it's okay. I think it's more that it's like things that are like things that we're just curious about. Why? Like even I've been to Africa and spent a handful of time in different parts of Africa over the past 20 years. And even the first time I went, I guess I was like 20, and Nicole and I went over there to West Africa for a couple of weeks. And I remember like over there, like girls were still like, bleaching their skin. And so you'd see these girls and they'd have this very patchy skin, and they would be lighter. And I really didn't realize that something like that would work, but like there's something that they would do to like try to like bleach their skin, and it was like fucking sad, but it was weird. I guess it was weird, and it was also sad, that it was like, oh shit, this isn't just like, because at the time, I'm fucking still ignorant to a lot of shit, obviously, but like at the time I was like, I thought this was like just this American thing. I didn't realize like in Africa where everybody, I say everybody, where the majority of the continent is black, that there was still this like idea of like, shades being better than other shades or whatever. But also what's interesting is that just how, it changes like based on society. There's also like this like, this sort of, at least everybody's different, right? And you fall into the thing where you want to go all in, but there's a lot of it where it's like, oh, I want to be darker, like black girls that go tan. And it's like now that's really just a weird thing in general, because even like white people tanning and just tanning in general, like
it's actually super old. Like Asia is all this way. If you were tan in Asia, especially in China, like my wife's Chinese, so I get a lot of info from like her family and things like that. But it's like, if you were tan, that meant you were a farmer. That meant you were poor and you were a worker. If you were very white,
I've heard that.
That means you were more higher up. You were more princess. You stayed inside. You did whatever. And it's still there, still to this day. Like most of China, Japan, Korea, like you'll see very.
But isn't that interesting? People. Well, totally. I see on Instagram all the time, like there'll be like just shit that goes through your feed, and it's like, the Asian model or whatever that's like,
it just happened to go through your feed.
FFF. I mean, maybe it's based on. No, actually, this isn't. There's some weird stuff. Like, it's man, now I don't know that guy's name. You know that black dude who I don't think he says anything, but he just makes fun of other videos. Like if they're walking funny, he like makes it or if like say they're eating a bowl of pasta and spill it. And he'll kind of like eat a bowl of pasta and show you how absurd that it is, or he'll do it without spilling it. Or I'm doing a horrible job.
This guy?
That guy? It's like, it's not that fucking hard. Like,
no, not this. He goes, his thing is this. Like
okay. That. See, I shouldn't even be talking.
He's like one of the most famous influencers on the internet. So yeah, you should know that.
Well, no, I know that. I just don't like mimic influencers like you do.
Well, I dream to be one day. But anyway, it's super interesting because it's like it's weird because the tan thing is like now it's a flex both ways, right? Because it's like, oh, you're tanning because you're like a bodybuilder, or you're like, or just like some hot model is like tan bikini model trying to, or whatever, or it's like, it's the stigma I feel like is changing, but in America, I feel like in the rest of the world, stigma meaning like brown equals bad and poor, like uneducated, stupid.
Oh yeah. Well, but here's the thing,
smart,
like
educated, beautiful.
People getting tans in America is like, it was a big thing even in the 80s, right?
No, that's what I'm saying. I feel like America's the differentiator. It's like the middle.
Okay.
Like the rest of the world, I feel like is still that way. Where it's like,
really?
Where America is like, no, tan's sexy, but I hope you don't get sun cancer. Like it's like it's not a stigma of like tan poor, uneducated white princess. You know, it's like, it's just, you're whatever. You've been out in the sun. You must be on vacation. You've been partying. Whatever. It's different. It's less of like a class thing.
Right. So there's the class thing, keeping people like whiter because it means that they're able to just stay in the house and do nothing or whatever. But then on the other side of it, I think there's a you look more healthy thing if you've got some color, right? Because being pale of all color typically isn't associated with like great health. You know what I mean?
I agree, but most other places in the world,
well, no, I wasn't.
Would fight you on that. On the class side,
yeah, I was just like, no, I wasn't even talking about that. I just kind of moved on to like the value kind of
the physiology
like, what's the value of
vitamin D?
Well, yeah, but then also like, what's the value of putting effort into a thing, and like, why does it gain in popularity, right? So like the looking as white as possible is like, oh, I want to look like I'm a princess and so that I can get married to a prince. I'm making that kind of an extreme, right? But then on the other side, I do this because it's attractive. And why is it attractive? It's probably biologically attractive because it looks like there's like a health associated with this or something. I don't know. I'm just making shit up now. Sounds right though.
I think, I mean, we can end it here, but I think it's more of a that they didn't care. They basically cared more about the stigma in the class and like how they looked than the health, right? Like 100%. So it's like,
oh, I can believe that.
You could almost kill yourself just to look like
totally.
You're the next queen, you know, kind of thing. So,
well, and it's basically like, people are be willing to treat themselves like shit to get, to get a free ride.
I mean, in a way, I'm jealous. I wish I had that, like, you know, that fortitude to just kind of work through that. I'd have my six-pack right now, you know. It'd be a brown six-pack. Well, I don't know. I'm pretty white under this shirt, but
I saw that. I was surprised. Well,
farmer tan, baby. Farmer tan.
It's pretty extreme, too. It's funny because it happened so gradually, like, that when you showed me, like, the white part of the farmer tan, I was pretty surprised. I was like, oh, man.
So,
I forgot you can
random funny story, okay? The first time I ever moved to Hawaii, I get there, and it's like, you know, the first day I got there at night, so I was like, the next day we're going to the beach, right? We got to go to the beach. And so my friend Shane, who's probably one of the whitest people I know, that he lived there, right? And he takes me to the beach. And we get there, I take my shirt off, I lay down, and he just stares at me like, oh my God, how are you that white? And this is coming from the whitest guy I know. And it was literally because it's just like, all I did was play baseball. Like, I mean, forever. Like, even like into my adult years, like, all I did was have a shirt, like a jersey on, and I was out in the sun nonstop. But I wasn't going to like the pool or going anywhere. Like, so it was like I was always covered, but I was always out in the sun. So my arms and my legs and my face are just dark. And then there's just this solid white t-shirt underneath me, you know,
skin t-shirt.
And that day too, I found out that Hawaii's sun is 10 times stronger because of the reflection off of the water. And so I went out and I had a surfing lesson that day. And so I'm just on my back, and my back went from bright white to dark brown to red as fuck in like a matter of like 6 hours. It was, I got my lesson real quick, you know?
Well, yeah, dude, 6 hours. I mean, yeah. Did I ever tell you about when Anthony and I went to Ecuador and Anthony got a sunburn on his face? Yeah. So Ecuador, the altitude is a lot higher. What we learned the hard way, so that was back when we were running our small company many, many years ago. And we took our team to Ecuador because one of our team members was from Ecuador and hadn't been there since he was 14, and he had family and all this. And so we like worked it out and like surprised him. It was really awesome and all that. But we went to a bullfight because there was like this big sort of world championship bullfight happening. And so it's like a perfectly round circle. And so we're setting, we get up there and, we, and it's kind of hectic. It's kind of like those hectic, like, soccer, like, or world football games that you see, where it's like so many people almost trampling each other. It wasn't like trampling, but it was a lot going on. And so we get our seats, we're setting, and I look around and I see literally like everybody has these hats on with the biggest bills just going all around. And I was like, that's a cultural thing I've never really seen. And then I start going, shit, like we don't have anything on. Like, I wonder, it's like, that's probably not good.
It's like spot the tourist. Busted out.
Yeah. Spot the tourist. And then like the moment you realize like, there's very important information that you wish you had because we're kind of like stuck in there. And we started getting hot. And so like one of the guys whips out, some SPF or whatever. Now they only sell 100 and above in Ecuador, or at least all the places I was seeing, which is kind of an interesting red flag. But anyway, so we like put it on. And the weirdest thing was like, I feel like if I go outside right now, I feel hot and I can feel it burning. What was weird, and I guess it was due to like the altitude, I didn't really feel that hot and I didn't really feel the burn. It was just, oh shit, my shit's kind of like, it's all of a sudden just burnt. And poor Anthony, dude, his face, he got burnt so bad on his face that like immediately, like that night, he had like blisters on his lips and shit. And he was like, God damn it. He was more
like,
pissed.
Fuck Ecuador. I'm never coming back here.
Yeah. I know he was, in pain, but I'm pretty sure he was more pissed because we had all these like social things. Like we were meeting up with like people and going out and doing things and having a, good time. And now he's the guy who's like, got blister lips. He was like, this fucking sucks. And I mean, there's no way, a blister's not going to go away. Like, for the next day. You're like, well, this is here for the rest of this trip. Cool.
That sucks.
Anyway.
That's crazy. Yeah. I want to go to Ecuador. I
didn't
get to see when I went. I was going to Spain a bunch, right? And like I thought I was finally going to get to see like a bullfight, right? And pretty much every time I was there was protests about how it's cruel and horrible, and they want to end the bullfighting in Spain. And most of the Spain team was on that side of things, and so I was like, I just didn't want to like, oh, okay, yeah, that's horrible,
gotcha,
bad. Like because I don't want to like.
Well, in Ecuador,
I feel differently. Can you take me anyway?
Well, for us, that's one of those things where, and somebody would probably talk shit, and that's fine. But for me, it was more that I didn't have an opinion. I didn't know enough about bullfighting. I mean, yeah, that's not cool. I think it's kind of obvious. Like, you look at how it goes down and it's not good. But for me, I was in a different culture. Like, that's not my culture. And I'm not going to like, I don't have a strong, it's not like a thing where I'm like, there's like a freaking arena here in Texas and we're like, we fucking shouldn't do that. Like, that's something I've only seen or heard of on TV. We're in somebody else's culture. It is happening. I'm not stopping it. So I wanted to see this thing that may not actually like be around, in the future. And seeing the cultures, what was not seeing a bull get stabbed to death, but seeing just the culture of people in this thing that has like a real history to it, is what I wanted to see. And it was very interesting. And the most interesting part was not the matador directly with the bull. The most interesting part was the guy on the horse. You're chasing around, kind of running around in a bull and all that, which was, still not great from a animal, perspective. Of course. But it was very interesting to watch.
So, side note thing. I feel like the rest of the world is way better at basically being a fan. Like, Like I've been to a million football games here, baseball games, soccer games, and whatever, and everyone's just kind of sitting out eating their nachos and having a beer and doing whatever. And then you go to like a baseball game in Japan, and like people don't stop. It's cheering, it's chanting. It's like this guy's up, yeah. They're chanting his name, like the whole game. And it's like this experience, like soccer matches or football matches in like Europe. It's like that. It's just like it's like I will fucking kill the other team. I will fight you right now before this game or after this game because I love this team so much.
Which happens sometimes.
Yeah. I know. That's what I'm saying. So it's just like this. Like I feel like America kind of sucks at being a fan when you like see how like into things that everybody is, but like you can go to a Cowboy game or go to anything where it's like, oh, everyone loves the Cowboys, but then like there's nobody acting crazy at the game. They might get too drunk and fall over or something or try to fight somebody, but they're not fans. They're not like changing the game. I feel like how people always say it's like you get like a home field advantage, when you're a team and your fans kind of like get behind you and it changes the energy of the game. Like I feel like most sports in America don't have that. And it's kind of sad. Like I literally want to travel. Like I want to go to Japan to watch a baseball game. Like I want to go to like see like a crazy like championship match of like European football. Like I guess like I want to like feel that. I don't want to get trampled by the people that want to beat my ass if I'm cheering for the wrong team. But like I just want to feel like that'd just be the coolest fucking energy ever. So I don't know. There's just totally, you got me thinking about that because I'm imagining like in the bullfighting thing, everyone's like, yeah, woo, and it's like you're like feeling it.
Well, they even. I'm pretty sure I might be making this up, but I kind of feel like we even did the wave around the whole arena, and it's like a perfect circle. I'm pretty sure that happened. Yeah, it did. I was trying to think, like, am I making this up? But yeah, like, no, you're right. Like everybody, that's what I was talking about. Like where I was saying, like there was a lot of energy there, and like even out in the streets in the front, they're like almost like just like people with instruments and stuff, and like. Yeah, marching. It wasn't really a marching band, but like the kind of things that like had that vibe or whatever. It was fun. It was definitely fun. I see what you're saying though. That's pretty interesting. I wonder why that might be the case. Is it because we have too many? Are you going to get kicked out at the football stadium if you're too rowdy?
Okay, so
probably not.
My random theory is that
that's what I'm wondering.
Is that. It's bougie's the wrong word, but right, like I feel like the perspective is different. Okay, so like my guess, and this is just me making shit up as like a fan of sports, is that if I'm in like Japan, using the Japanese baseball game example, right, and I feel like as a fan, the louder I get and the more I do, I'm actually helping my team like actually do something. I'm helping that player. I have a role in this. And like I'm helping you guys, right? In America, I feel like they're like, I bought a ticket, entertain me. I'm gonna sit here, you entertain me. I gave you money, you make a bunch of money, entertain me. Like I'm not here to do work for you. You're here to do work for me. I feel like the perception is just different. That's my guess. Not everybody, and I'm not saying everyone in America. There are great fans. I've literally I remember going to Atlanta Braves game and like being able to do like the tomahawk chop with like the stadium, and like it was like the coolest feeling because in like the Texas Rangers like didn't have anything like that. It'd just be like clap, 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 whatever. And I was like, this is amazing. It's so cool. So there are little moments. But it's not the same. Like, like the whole game will go through like that in like different countries and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's like, that's just what I was thinking. All right, dude. I don't know why.
The Japan trip, we're going to a baseball game.
Oh, 100%. Which means you have to go in baseball season.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully that's
which I don't. Yeah, they don't play in the winter. I don't want to go in the winter. Yeah. I don't want to go when it's cold.
We're not going to a fucking American football game in Japan in the winter.
No, but yeah. No,
well, hey, let's
So, yeah, I fucked up your transition. What were you doing?
No, you had sent me something, a little Twitter hot take, or I think it was Twitter.
Oh yeah.
Or was it
Yeah,
LinkedIn?
Twitter,
It's Twitter.
douchey designer.
Yeah, so tell me. You just said
All So I'll give you the context. Okay, so it's basically like a post from UX Collective, right? Like they're like a big blog. They've been around
so
forever.
it's one of the magazine kind of things.
Yeah, they do like posts about
tell if it was just from a
design.
person.
No, it's from actual UX
Gotcha.
Collective is their name. They're the ones with like the little polar bear thing. You've seen it before. I know you have.
I'm familiar.
Anyway,
They
it
have
just
a good-
literally is like a post and it just says which UI is better, the importance of contextual design. And it's got a phone on this side with like a hamburger and some text and a button at the bottom. And then it's got like a button at the top right and a burger in the text. Right? And it's just like, it's a little poll. There's nothing crazy about it. There's nothing like, it's just like, hey, which one do you think's better? We'll show you some stats and whatever later on or whatever. Like nothing. It's kind of
Right.
clickbaity.
Yeah.
It's clickbaity, but for a designer. So it's okay. It's like, it's nothing horrible. Well,
that type of stuff just is what it is, right?
and I see this, right? And I'm like, huh. And like, I click on it. And then I, like, one of the first, like, comments is this guy named Sergio. And he goes, that's it? That's the entire post? There's no background. There's no explanation. Nothing. Just look at the images and vote. Angry face emoji. Apart from the reach and engagement, I'm not sure what these posts are meant to achieve. I've seen comments and even counter posts that explain the problem with these polling questions. What about the importance of contextual design? Before we judge or critique a design, can we get some more context about it? For the love of everything, please stop creating or responding to the which is better UI posts. And it's just like, dude, we need a new name.
Dude,
like
yeah.
designer snob is not. This is like a designer Karen, right? Like this is like a whole. This is like a whole new
Darren.
thing. Yeah, Darren. Yeah, there we go. Darren. That's what it will be forever. So
Fucking Darren.
this Darren, it's just like, what do you expect? You want them to like do a video documentary of all of the work that they've done, and now they just want you to like vote on this one little thing? No. Like the whole idea is it's the start of the conversation. It's the click and read this thing so that you can actually learn about it. This is not the entire conversation. It's the beginning of the conversation. Like it's just like, dude.
Yeah. I would take it even further than that and say, even if there's no fucking real conversation here, like it's just a poll for an opinion, and maybe it is clickbaity, but like it's actually doing what it's intended to do if all these people are fucking responding to it, including yourself. And what I always think is the most absurd about these types of responses is, dude, like, I don't think you were invited here. Like you're following this fucking channel or this Twitter profile or whatever.
Yep.
Like, it's always weird to me when like one random individual gets on something, especially when it's got a large following, and is like, you shouldn't do posts like this. Like, dude, it's like, shut the fuck up. You don't work there. Like, who are you? Like, I don't know. Maybe like I'm not explaining that well, but it's just like, you're just some random individual, and your opinion, like it doesn't add any value at all. Like you just bitching, aside from like adding value to us, because we're just going to make fun of you. But yeah, it's a fucking Darren. Shut the fuck up. Quit being a little bitch. Like,
Yeah, it's
unfollow or whatever.
Exactly. See, that's my whole thing. It's like, go ahead.
The other version would be like, instead of bitching like a fucking Darren. Sorry, Darren's out there. We know there's a lot of cool ones of you, but this Sergio guy just fucked it up. But you could say like, that maybe there's an opportunity to be like, yeah, I think this is better, but there's things that are going to make a difference. Like, so if this guy really wanted to like make some valuable point, he could say, yeah, upon first glance, it seems like this is better. However, there's a lot of things to consider. It'd be good to consider like if this is on a tablet or a phone or what. I don't even know what the fuck it is about, but like all I guess I'm saying is like, if you wanted to like add value, there's a way you could, and this is not it. This is just you being a fucking
a troll. No, it's just
a troll. Is it okay? Hey, wait, real quick. Is it okay to say little bitch still, or is that like, is that cancel? cancel level, little bitch.
I don't know. I mean, you're not gentrifying or genderfying the word bitch. It could be either way. So you're basically just using the word bitch as a verb describing a pansy.
It's derogatory though, right?
It is, but I mean, I'd put it in. I mean, they say it on TV, don't they? Can you say bitch on regular? I mean,
it's in a lot of rap songs. I use rap songs as my sort of litmus to things that are okay and not okay.
So I'm gonna give it.
So anyway, you were saying you love. Okay, thanks, man.
I don't even know what I was gonna say, honestly.
I know.
No, but I mean, I love that you said exactly what you said. It's like, why are you taking the time to? And this isn't like a short comment. This is like 4 or 5 paragraphs that you wrote here, right? Like, and it's like, just unfollow. If you don't like it, go just somewhere.
Unfollow.
Like it's very simple. Like, maybe this content is not great for you, and you've moved on because you're so amazing. And so maybe just go to the amazing place where they only show you full documentaries about everything. You know, it's like, dude.
Yeah.
It's like the people on Yelp
Netflix
that'll be like, 1-star review, waiter forgot my name. You know, or like some shit like that where it's just like there's no reason really why you're upset. You're just taking the time and energy to shit on somebody for no reason whatsoever.
Well, and we could like, I wouldn't personally shit on him for this, but I've seen it. You know, I've seen it in the shit on people community, using all these emojis in his comment. It's kind of funny, you know. I'm gonna start my rant with this with an angry face emoji, which actually for me it works. It's like setting the tone. Like, all right, that's the one thumbs up I'll give you that you might get made fun of by other people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's even more to the point though. Like, he took the time to put emojis in it and make this, and make this, like, it took more time. Like, it was like trying to put even more point across, and it just makes him more douchey. I don't know. I hate you, Sergio. I don't even know you, but I don't think we're
Sergio A.
We're ever gonna be homies. I'm sorry.
He's like, wait a minute, I'm the fucking UX Weekly's biggest fan.
Yeah, probably.
Unfollow now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's your prerogative, man. Do your thing. Unfollow us.
We're actually giving him value. Like, we're letting him know, like, don't do that in the future if you don't want to look like a little bitch.
I mean, it's totally how we describe the design snobs. It's like, you just wanted to hear your voice, and like you just wanted to hear yourself talk about like how smart you are about design, and you want to make everybody else feel stupid because that makes you feel better. And like, it's just sad, you know? Like, just be happy, dude. Yeah. Just click the button. Say bro. You like the one on the left. Like, call it a day.
Yeah.
You know?
Clearly the one on the left's better. He just didn't know is what the problem is.
Yeah, he didn't want to pick the wrong answer.
It's like,
that's what it was.
It's true. That's what it is. Fucking fuck. All right, man.
On that note.
Well, on that note, why don't we do this and go to an ad? Oh. I'm going to have to record that ad for sure at some point, but we definitely have the transitions into the ad down.
I mean, you remembered. That was the part I was going to give you props for. I had totally forgot.
Yeah, thanks, homie.
Yeah. Like, sorry we waited till the hour to throw your ad in there, but, you know, there it is.
I mean, I'm sure everybody sticks around until the very last minute.
100% of people watch every video.
I haven't looked at the YouTube stats on that, but I mean, I would just imagine that would be the case. But.
It's just, every person.
All right. All right, brother. Well, hey, folks, we're glad to be back. We're going to get this thing back on regular cadence. We love you. We hope you were doing well. You were crushing it in your career. Holler at us and let us know if there's anything you'd love to hear us talk about. We'd love to continue entertaining you. I was trying to do that. Are you not entertained? But it didn't really work. But anyway, I just explained it. Okay, thanks. But anyway, All right. Well, thanks everybody. Until next time, deuces.
Like.